This movie absolutely floored me.
Thank you.
It floored me, obviously, because of how emotional it was, but the filmmaker in me started to come out, too, and think, how in the hell did you guys film this? I know you had tiny, tiny cameras, but...
Not even that tiny, actually. We
How
worked
big?
on...
How
they
big?
were there. It's the Red Dragon, which is a reasonably sized camera.
Okay, yeah.
What we did was Ethan Tobin, our brilliant designer, he built this brilliantly modular set. So I didn't want to take whole walls out all the time because I always felt that even for Jake would sort of break it. You know, if he looks over towards the camera and it's just a wall of studio, you know, this vast blackness of studio.
Totally changes the whole
totally
thing.
changes. So I wanted to keep the integrity of the place. So it's built, the cork tiles are what's used in the inside. Every 4 cork tiles are removable. It was like a military operation. We got it down to seconds to take out and put back so that we would never be waiting on that stuff because you have such limited time with a child.
Right.
So there's a whole logistical dimension to that. And we did make a rule, which was even though we could remove panels, the lens would always be inside the space so that we are not cheating. In other words, the views that you get in this room, we really did shoot. The camera's plane of focus is always inside the dimensions of the room.
Even in a space like that, it manages to be so kinetic and it has so much energy just from the beginning.
And
that
it sometimes looks big. I mean, that scene where she hangs up the laundry, you know,
Yeah.
it's got this kind of wide...
As we're kind of seeing it through his eyes, the space, it did have that kind of immense quality so by the time that they're out of the room, I was like, this is different, but also not.
Yes, that's very interesting that you say that because it's the objective, the adult eye on that space is, this is a tiny space to live in. But because it's all he knows and because children also they're much more in touch with different scales. So for example, room contains the tiny things. It also contains multiple worlds. So the bed area is one world, the kitchen area is one world, under the table is another world, inside the wardrobe is obviously another world. So you have a kind of, in a way it's not one location. And you can go from the tiny details of the things that he's interested in, all the way up to the shot that Emma mentioned with the washing line, which is on a wide lens, which gives you that sense of perspective.
Yeah.
And so we never really felt, we felt crushed in there as a bunch of people, as filmmakers, but aesthetically we never felt hemmed in.
Speaking of details, I've been saving the book until after I saw the film, but I noticed that there's no article that precedes room. It's room. It's not the room. They never refer to it that way. Was that...
Jack makes friends with every object that there's only one of.
I love listening to him to say good morning to everything.
Yeah.
You know, I thought I was watching my son who was 5 while I was drafting the novel, and he just befriended everything. I mean, it's a cliche that if you give a kid a toy in a box, they play with the box.
Right.
Put it this way, they're certainly just as happy playing with a box as a toy. They can turn anything into anything. So they've got this transformative, rich imagination that adds a storyline to everything. So, I thought that Jack would have certain linguistic peculiarities and he'd give a gender to everything as well. I mean, he doesn't see anything as gender neutral. It's a world of friends.
I definitely do that. Oh, yeah, like my hairbrush is her.
Wow. That's
Really?
interesting.
But my phone charger's him.
I can see the logic of both of those choices.
Thank you.
Definitely.
It's not really outside the box.
No,
You're the first adult I know who's admitted to that now.
But you know what?
The jewelry's brave and so are the admissions.
Thank you.
Emma also said something earlier, which is very true, which is that the word room for him is like a synonym for home. And we don't say the home. It's a unique and total place. And thinking that there is the in front of an object suggests that there are others, Yeah. And for him, no, this is it. This is
That's
the world.
it. Wow,
And really,
I love
every
that.
child is like that. Every child thinks their own little apartment or big mansion or mud hut or igloo is normal and the rest of the world is not. And we're constantly having to explain the world to kids, all these totally arbitrary social rules about what you're allowed to do when. And yes, that water is free, but this water is expensive,
Yeah.
So Jack's
Yeah.
case is just an extreme one. And
You can
again,
hug me, but not that man over there.
Exactly, yeah.
One last thing as I get out of here, I want you guys to just be honest right now. Biggest prima donna on the set. Was it the cupboard? Was it the wardrobe? I feel like sink was the worst one.
Sink was a nightmare. The lamp.
I had a personal
lamp was
dislike.
so difficult.
I disliked duvet cover. You know, I think
Yeah.
Ethan made such a smart choice in picking that ugly, ugly duvet cover. I was just longing for it to
Yeah,
be
there were
burned.
some terrible moments with
But
some
you
of
know,
those
nobody
objects.
had a tantrum on the set,
Yeah.
least of all Jake. Everybody rose to the occasion and behaved well because it was such a child-focused production.
God,
It's
not even
extraordinary.
Lamp. That's a triumph.
Not even Lamp, although there are stories, but I'm sworn to secrecy as a professional. I can't tell you.
Understood. Yeah.